So, welcome, my friends. If we have faith, say you have a faith in the teacher, you can use the power of discernment which the teacher has to use it in your life. And if you don't have a faith and you only have a discernment or viveka, then you have to work for it to attain the higher state of the Viveka, to live your life to reach to that state. The power of discernment is so beautiful. You can use it if you have faith. Okay, teacher is saying this, so let me apply this and see the result. Keep on applying it. Keep on applying it. Or you don't have faith, it's okay. It's okay. But you have to work on the viveka, the discernment in your intellect to live your life. But if you have both, that only can result into realization of reals. You need to have both. Because there are gradations of the power of discernment. And every time you have to listen to it, you have to contemplate, you have to realize it. Did you understand? You believe it. You go to somewhere, no, this car is good. You are using the viveka of that person. But you should have a clarity to use viveka. If you don't have clarity how to use that power of discernment in your life, nothing is going to happen. So that is why in every text of the Eastern wisdom, it begins with the faith. And then gradually it moves to the power of discernment. Have you understood this? Say yes. Now, when you understand this, so when the teacher is saying the world is suffering, and you remain engaged in the world that causes the suffering due to the foolishness, scattered mind, attachment, selfishness, intellectual paralysis, vicious circle. That is what we have discussed, 8 or 9 steps. Now, when the teacher is saying that the world is suffering, you don't have a power to do the viveka, then follow it and see what happens. But not everyone follows it. Not everyone. So if you don't follow, you can blame the teacher and you can leave the session. That is okay. That is the part of the journey. Or if you have viveka, you say, no, I will get it. I will work on it. So you have to work on it. You have to contemplate. You have to reflect. You have to use the viveka in your daily life, in your daily activities. Both ways it is possible. Both ways. But higher state of consciousness can only be attained when you combine both, the faith and the viveka. What is faith? Faith is belief pending inquiry. It will take you to the viveka. And that is why the satsang is important, the second group that we have talked about it. Second group is important, that is satsang. Why satsang? So remember this. Satsang results into non-attachment in the mind. It is not the object who is attached to me. I am attached to the object. So that is why the satsang, listening and learning, contemplation and reflection, And, and, so once you practice, so when you continue, so what happens? It results into non-attachment, it results into no dispassion, it results into calmness and the joy in your life. Oh, now you see that it's such a small thing in my life. I got caught up in the web of the suffering. That is the power of discernment. It's a great power, great power. And you start experiencing. That is the third group. I'm again reminding you that is the third group. Oh, realization. I have a lot of realization. And now, when you continue the journey, then question comes, are you changing? Have you changed your behavior and attitude in your life, in your personal life, in your professional life, in your social life? Or you are so humble in the session, and once the session is over, you are ready to blame your kids, your honey? No, that will not work. You are not using the discernment. You are not using the discernment. Then you are listening, you are enjoying. It will not work. It will not bring the result. Be very clear. And that is why we have Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karva Vahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvisha Vahe. Interesting. I will pick up only one part of it. And you have to do the Viveka. Whether you believe me or you don't believe me, it doesn't matter. I give you a different perspective. Does the mind have any shape or size? Does the mind has any length or width? No. Does the mind has any age? Does the mind has any weight? You cannot weight the mind. Mind has an independent entity. It has no weight, it has no shape, it has no size, it has no length, it has no width. What is mind? I see you, it is mind. I hear you, it is mind. I talk to you, it is mind. We are doing Viveka on mind. I'm just giving you one part of it from another text. That text contains more than 600 verses. So it will be a different topic. Whatever we feel, we hear, we experience, we see, it is mind. Mind has no weight, mind has no location, mind has no shape, size, length, width, no weight. You cannot weight the mind. Mind goes to the ears, it hears. Mind goes to the eyes, it sees. Mind goes to the tongue, it tastes or speaks. Mind neither lives inside or outside. You feel sleepy, that is the mind. You feel sleepy in the session, that is also the mind. So when we discern the very movement of the mind, we realize that we are giving too much importance to the mind. It becomes a burden to us, and that creates the world is suffering. We have to play with the mind. Discernment says I have to play with the mind. My mind is heavy. I have a lot of stress. Come on, you discern, there is no stress. That is what I am telling you. So in the last session, we have understood it is the same mind or intellect. Free will. I talked about the free will. Understand it, it will change your entire perspective of life. It will transform you completely. So you combine this with the message that I gave you in the last session. I can do it. I cannot do it. I can do it differently. I can do it with power of discernment. In any situation. I am angry over you. I can do it. I cannot do it. I can do it differently. Let me do it with discernment. See that? See, combine the two. And when you combine the two, there is no one in the world, even including the God, can disturb you. Any superpower cannot disturb you. That is the beauty. Now we are coming to the beauty of the journey of the East and West. So Viveka, or the discernment, we have understood it is just a power in the intellect which separates the mixture. Separating. Here is the problem. Problem is a mixture. Why it is a mixture? Because I'm searching for peace out of the problem. So problem is there and peace is there. So I have to separate the mixture. See that? In any situation, in any condition of life. So the master further goes, oh, you have to extract what is false, throw it. Recognize what is false, throw it. What is left is the real. And the basic problem that the mind constantly plays with it because we give too much of importance to it, and that is where we lose the Viveka. And that is why we lose the Viveka. So the master says, no, I have to do the Viveka of what is right and wrong. You see the further classification. You have to do the Viveka, discernment with the good and the pleasant, what is right and good, and what I like and pleasant to me. So what I like and what is pleasant to me, the entire world comes into it. The world is suffering here. What is right and good? World dissolves. The world that is suffering dissolves. You blamed me, I hate you. And the guy then starts explaining to you. And then you realize that, you had a wrong notion. And ultimately you say, I'm sorry. I thought, I had a wrong perception about you. I had a wrong feeling about you. And now it is removed. Vivek. But the greater Viveka is that before you blame someone, you do the Viveka, so there is no question of any blame and complaint. You see that? For that, you need a faith in the beginning to follow the teaching, and then you develop, you rise in Viveka, and you apply it. Throw the teacher. Who is the teacher? Throw the teacher. Forget the teacher. But until you reach there. So that is why we have to do the Viveka between the goals and the means, between what is right and good, between part and the whole, and between sorrow and the happiness. between the sorrow and the happiness. And if you live your life, what it takes to do the Viveka at what time, the moment you wake up in the morning until you retire to the bed, internally. It is internal practice. Well, for pranayama, obviously you have to sit down and do breathing. But for Viveka, it is 24 by 7. Are you listening with attention and awareness? Or your mind has gone somewhere else? You can do the Viveka here also. Think, think. Now you all are seekers, so we have to think. Viveken eva vigyam. Satya satyam tu sarvada. This verse is so beautiful. Antarmukho bhavanityam swarupam bodhayan dhruvam. With the discernment, with the power of discernment, always distinguish between the real and the unreal. What is going to happen? Your mind will turn inward naturally, realizing your true nature. This is what the master, one of the great masters, says. You need not to do anything. Sit down, listen to the teacher, pay attention. Then after the session, go and contemplate and reflect. Constantly contemplate. So you got the understanding of the Viveka. Apply that Viveka in your daily life. That is all is required. With the power of discernment, this verse says, always distinguish, always distinguish between the real and the unreal. You're talking to your honey, and internally there is an invisible stress inside. It is because of the lack of Viveka. Outside, honey, yes, honey, everything is okay. But internally, there is a conflict. That can also be removed by the Viveka. That is why I gave you the understanding mind has no weight, no shape, no size. We say, my mind is so heavy. Really? I'm not saying that you believe me. I say you contemplate and reflect and you will recognize what a great journey into this Eastern wisdom the master, the way the master teaches us. The master emphasizes they go directly or indirectly. I told you in the last session, perhaps, we talk of Ashtanga Yoga, 8-limbed path, asana, yeah, do it. Do the practice. But what the Patanjali says in the very first chapter, Viveka Khatir Viplava Hanupaya. So the student asks that what is the way, the ultimate way that you do the Viveka? Viveka Khyati. The Viveka is settled. The discernment is settled into your mind. That can instantly perceive what is real and unreal. So before you get into anxiety, you know what it is. Before you go into the stress, you know what it is. And then what happens? You live into that awareness. You live into that state of the consciousness. And that is why the emphasis is on, no, we have to listen. So no, if I don't have Viveka, no need. You keep on listening, contemplating and reflecting, the Viveka will come to you. Topic is relevant both to the seeker and to the non-seeker. Master says this discernment has to be applied consistently. Consistently. In everyday life, you wake up in the morning and you are just aware. You're eating, you're aware. Walking, you're aware. You can practice Viveka in the external world. And when you start practicing Viveka with reference to the real and the unreal, you need not to worry about this mind. The mind will go inside by itself. And we talk about controlling the mind. What do you control? Can you really control the mind? But this teaching is applicable to the higher seekers who has yet to start the journey. We will definitely say, the same teacher will say, control your mind. But for the higher seeker, do you want to control the mind? Can you really control? So the highest level of Viveka, when we understand highest level of Viveka, real is here, unreal is here. You are already settled into the real self. And that is where we are. I'm just giving you these glimpses from this text. So why we do the Viveka between the right and the good? Because the right will take me to the permanent peace and happiness. What is pleasant is not going to take me to the permanent happiness. The part and the whole. So when I do the Viveka, discernment of the whole means it cannot be divided. Then only I can reach to the real self. See, my friends. And when you start doing the Viveka, you start living in that moment of awareness where you recognize there is a whole. The water is a whole, you still see the waves. We keep on seeing the waves, but still, now I can see the whole also. Now I can see the whole also. But to reach to that state of the Viveka, we have many challenges. We do Viveka for an hour in the session, then we forget, and then our mind goes back to the challenges and the suffering and the pain that we have, and it is engaged. The mind starts playing with you. Mind starts playing with the temperament, temporary nature of the things, which it feels it's permanent, and then we get caught up in the web of the suffering. That is one great. We lack inner peace and contentment. I have not practiced meditation regularly, so there is no peace and contentment inside. So what happens? What happens then? As a seeker, I still depend on the external circumstances for happiness. And there I lack and I lose the power of discernment. Difficulty in progressing. That creates a difficulty in progressing on the journey. Why? Because attachment. And that is why I feel incapable to experience the profound joy and the freedom. Master says only one reason, the lack of Viveka. So it brings us that we should become a qualified seeker. We should become a perfect seeker. We should continue to become a seeker of the higher order, to understand instantly, become aware, here is the real and here is the unreal. We are discussing about discernment. Who is discussing? The intellect. We both are learning together. So intellect or mind, you can say. And then I made it a point that the mind has no shape, size. It is neither outside nor inside. It has no length and the width. It goes into the ear, it hears, that is the mind. It goes into the eyes, it sees, it is the mind. So once you have that understanding, then you can play with the mind, and there you can move to the power of discernment at a higher level. Or you take it easily, including the pain and the pleasure, achievement and attachment and aversion. They come and go. Let it come and go. Who cares? In that state, this Viveka works at its best. And once it works, it starts working, it continues to work, it is working constantly, leave it. Practice is done now. Now you continue to live into that state of Viveka. It changes our entire perspective of life from a pleasure seeker to a seeker of the real self. Because I constantly recognize the waves is nothing but the word, and behind that word there is one consciousness. So external, so you don't enjoy the external pleasure? Yes, you enjoy. I'm sitting comfortably. That is also a joy. I'm sitting on a chair. External joy is there. Think, think, think. So our mind is absorbed in the ultimate source of the happiness. It does not wander, does not oscillate. It looks at the pleasure outside in eating a particular food, but it recognizes that pleasure is experienced by me. The food does not contain the pleasure because my mind has an attachment to that food, so it thinks that the pleasure is in the food. But basically, that pleasure is a short term happiness manifested from the real self. So, that pleasure that you get from the world outside is basically coming from inside. So when you realize that it is coming from inside, you drop that clinging and attachment to that object completely. But you have the impression in the mind, oh, I like this food, so this food is there, so okay, take it. You like this dress, okay, take it. That is the meaning of playing with the mind. Playing with the mind. You embrace the path of the self-discovery. That doesn't leave you when you wake up in the morning until you retire to the bed. There is a clarity and understanding. There is an acceptance, complete acceptance of the discernment, and there is a state of equanimity in the mind. There is an expansion of awareness. And that once you have that state in the mind, it Now, from there, you have the intuition and the deeper insight. Now, because the mind is now clear, we talk of those powers of intuition and power, reading the mind of others. Yes, it's very normal. But you are not craving for it. In other systems, whatever you have done before, oh, there is a power, I will get you the power. Because that is attached with the ego. Here, there is no ego attached. That is the third practice we are into. I just gave you a brief of it, and then once the time comes, we will talk in detail about it and understand. So let us close your eyes. Eyes are closed, sitting in a particular place. Position of the body, you are aware. You see, you are moving into that Viveka. Very important. And the posture, being comfortable. So I experience the comfort, sensation, and steadiness in the body. And now I am playing with the mind, so the mind cannot play with me. Mind cannot cause me any discomfort and unease. You are already settled there. You see the role of Viveka here also. Without Viveka, you cannot do any practice. But I told you, so people do not have a belief in the teacher in the very beginning. They don't have the power of discernment, and then they fail because of themselves. And being carefree, free from all the cares of the mind, that is being carefree. And what is the mind? I told you just now. Why to worry? Mind exists, but mind doesn't have a weight, shape, and size, and weight, and etc., length and width. The mind goes to a physical instrument, a ear it sees, it hears, goes to the ears, eyes it sees, goes to the mind, it hears, etc. Oh, so you see that you relieve the burden of your past impression, and that is the meaning. Let the thought come, let it go. So I am playing with the mind, instead the mind is playing with me. But then we have to, if I use the word, insert the knowledge there by the Mangalacharan. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. May there be happiness for all. Unhappiness is unreal. That Viveka is required here. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham shantir bhavatu. Sarvesham shantir bhavatu. Sarvesham shantir bhavatu. You are simply listening. So now listening with the Viveka, because you are a higher seeker. So what does that mean? May there be peace for all. What is opposite of peace is false. So that is also the Viveka is done here. Sarvesham mangalam bhavatu. Sarvesham mangalam bhavatu. Sarvesham mangalam bhavatu. May there be completeness in all. So Viveka shifts that I from the word that is suffering perceived by the mind. It shifts the I to the highest existence, and that is consciousness. Then what happens? Then I am the consciousness, I am the real self. I am complete in myself, it cannot be divided. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. You already know the meaning of the Mangalam. Viveka, the discernment shines in the mind or the intellect. It continues to keep you into the state of that comfort, ease. Yes, yes, it keeps you. And now in that state, you look inside the forehead, pranayama and pratyahara together. Look inside the forehead in the space. You're dropping Om Shanti there gently, and you start breathing quick and gentle breath into the rib cage. Continue breathing. Let us see. In the state of the Viveka, if the Viveka is there, you can do it for a much longer period. That is the beauty. Continue breathing. You are aware if the mind is going anywhere, you bring it back to the Om Shanti. Continue breathing, keep the body still. This is another way. Continue breathing, dropping Om Shanti, stillness in the body. Continue breathing. Om Shanti, stillness in the body. And stop this breathing. Allow the breath to be normal. Pay attention to the flow of the breath. Almost in a state of doing nothing. If you have succeeded in maintaining that calmness during the breathing practice, wonderful. If not, so then we should be able to maintain the same state of the calmness in our next breathing practice, which engages both the belly and the chest, the third breathing that we have been understanding. So, looking deep inside the forehead in the space. Om Shanti continues, and then start breathing long, deep in the hissing breath. First from the belly, then into the chest, out of the belly and the chest. Long, deep in the hissing breath. So you are paying attention to the movement of the belly and the rib cage with Om Shanti, stillness in the body. Continue. Long, deep. First you inhale into the belly. Continue to inhale into the chest. Then you continue to exhale from the belly and the chest. Om Shanti continues. Stillness in the body continues. And now convert this hissing breath into the deep, silent, and slow breath, both into the belly and the rib cage. As you inhale, move the mind from the top center of the head to the tailbone, singing mentally Om Shanti. And as you exhale, mind moves from the tailbone to the top of the head, singing Om Shanti. I mixed up the two. So your awareness is maintained inside, Helper is also the mantra, the Om Shanti, the stillness continues. In order to have a higher experience, and after that, even if you move the body, it doesn't any make any difference. But in the beginning, we have to follow it. And now leave the breath as it is, moving the mind inside the cave of your heart. Visualize a triangle of any color, pointing upward, dropping Om Shanti while moving the mind on each side of a triangle. Find there is a sync. If your mind can flow easily with Om Shanti on the triangle, clockwise, anti-clockwise, that is the moment you say Om, pushing the mind. Now you're pushing the mind. And deeper inside, mind seemingly stops. Shanti, doing nothing. Self absorption. I'm using the term to make you aware that you are in a state of doing nothing. Anytime you recognize thoughts are too far from you, it's okay. That too is a self absorption. But if that awareness of the absorption breaks up, you return to the triangle, moving the mind on the triangle, self absorption, and then you go to again. We need not to worry, we are playing with the mind. We live in a higher level of Viveka. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your awareness on the right hand, your awareness on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes, open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. We'll share our experiences. How are you, Brandy?
Good, thank you. The lesson today was really impactful. I like the idea of not really being able to measure the mind, so it takes the weight, yes, pun, kind of off of it. And it was really helpful during the meditation when you gave the definition of, I forget what you said, but like relieve yourself from the burdens of your past impressions. So whenever things would come up, I was doing the breathing, I just applied that. It was helpful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Yes, the first part is that the mind doesn't carry any weight, height, length, width. So you have to understand the moment you have a stress and anxiety and start thinking in that way and then see what happens. And obviously applying that even during the breathing, it goes deeper. Thank you. How are you, David and Jerry?
Thank you. Very good lesson as always. Viveka is very present in my day-to-day life these days. And I'm finding that there's this extra fine filter with it that allows discernment to really get to the essence of things. As far as today's lesson, the stuff that we have around us that we think is we're attached to, our body, our mind, kind of what Brandy was saying, was very enlightening. I had an extremely deep meditation. I can't give you an opinion on it because it was just very deep.
Good. Very good. Viveka, you have to apply that, Viveka. Then the pranayama and breathing practice and even the pratyahara becomes very lower practice. It helps us to reach to that higher state of awareness naturally. And that is why we feel it's much deeper. How are you, Jerry?
I'm good, thank you. The takeaway for me is my mind kind of went to either your one-pointed focus, so seeker that is attached to what's not changing, the real self, what's real, or you're absolutely not a seeker. So it went to this black and white where if you're still attached to money and the body and what is changing, then you're going to suffer. You're going to keep repeating your habits and your impressions, and you'll do that until you don't want to suffer. So my mind is this really black and white place.
Beautiful. You see that how you beautifully explained. So we always talk that you should not be attached to the world outside. So it doesn't mean that attachment dissolves and disappears. No, let me be attached to what is not changing. Let me be attached to the thing. So what happens? The mind starts exploring what is unchanging and eternal. So never ever think, she rightly says that when we are attached to the worldly things, the world has to cause the suffering. And when we are attached to the eternal, one consciousness, question of suffering doesn't arise. Beautifully shared your experience. How are you, Stephen?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Last few days have been really contemplating, reflecting on the discernment, and struggled a little bit with it because I kept saying to myself, discernment by itself doesn't work. There's more to it, and I was always leaning to the dispassion side of it. That once you have discernment, you've got to. If you don't have the dispassion, the discernment is just realizing it. It's just everything in life is. You know what's right or wrong, but you can still choose to do the wrong things. But there was something else that was missing. It wasn't enough. And today you kind of tied it all together that without faith, discernment, and dispassion, discernment just doesn't work. And I had this again aha moment with it that and I never know whether I'm right or wrong. It's just how I feel, and it just allowed my meditation to just go into a completely calm space where I remember one thought that came up, and that thought was just something that I needed to do later today, and I laughed at it and I go, why now? It's not happening. And it went away, and I was there, and I said, all right, this is just a complete example of discernment, dispassion, faith, gone, and here I am. So thank you very much.
Yes, you're right. I told you in the very beginning, normally that is why every master says have faith. That is why we adore and appreciate the teachers of the Eastern wisdom. It is only that if you have a faith, you don't know how to discern, follow the teaching. It will happen. But if you are already a qualified seeker, then you don't have faith. It still works. It still works. We are going, and you also opened me my mind also triggered to pick up how this mind works with the knowledge, with the desire, and with action. So I will take up. That is also a part of the Viveka. Beautifully shared. How are you, Dennis?
Thank you for the lesson. I was also contemplating on the discernment and Viveka, and kind of metaphor came to my mind that discernment is keeping intellect turned on at all times, not allowing the mind to veil the capacity of intellect to discern with the desires and likes and dislikes. As far as the practice, it was very deep, seamless. The breathing was equal, and there was detachment from the world, thoughts, and the body at the end.
Beautiful. Beautifully done, said. That is why we say the world is suffering. Intellectual paralysis simply means that the mind has taken over with the likes and dislikes, attachment and detachment. And so once the intellect lives in the discernment, there is no problem. It does not take even a fraction of a millisecond to realize that truth. But it happens only to a seeker, not to everyone. How are you, Barbara?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Meditation was seamless. It went very quickly. The breathing was very, very easy for me. I think that you kind of just answered a question that I was going to ask. I was going to say, is discernment always a thinking process, or does it eventually become instinctual? And I think that what you're saying is it.
Yeah, in the beginning, it is an intellectual process. And after that, it is just a matter of awareness. You are aware on a crossroad which way to go. Do you think? You are just aware. Oh, this is the way. This is the way. How many times you think about my gender when you look at me? You are just aware. So ultimately, the discernment takes you to that higher state of awareness. So you need not to think. So we are using the thinking. Thought is a product of knowledge. We have to think. Thought is nothing but the product of knowledge. So what we are gaining, why we are attending this session. So by thought process. But once we reach to that state, you don't need that. So how are you, Christina?
Thank you. I had a lot of noise around me, and I barely noticed it today during the meditation. And the concept of the mind not having shape or form, I could feel just a complete relaxation, sense of freedom, a deep breath,
Yeah.
that concept.
Very simple. I say you that you follow the simple teaching. Mind does not have a weight, shape, size, length, width, and now you have a noise outside. So it is the mind is the seat of all the experiences. So what happens? You jump into the higher level of awareness. When? Instantly. That is the power of discernment. Rightly said. Thank you, Terry. How are you?
I also had a lot of interference, and I've been trying to apply the discernment of what is right and good. I don't know if I've been successful at all the time, but it's an ongoing process.
Yeah. If it is ongoing, it is going to help you reach to that state. Are you Vaibhav?
Thank you, sir. The mind was calm, smooth. It is.
Yes, go ahead. Vaibhav, go ahead.
I was saying the mind was calm. It was very smooth.
Very smooth. Yes, very good. Good. And how are you, Sangeeta?
सर बहुत पीसफुल था और सर मतलब बहुत बार होता है कि हम विवेक से करते हैं काम, लेकिन सामने वाला आपको पता है फैमिली का, तो वहां पर बोलना पड़ जाता है कुछ, तो बाद में रियलाइज होता है कि मुझे वहां चुप रहना है.
Very good example she gave that sometimes it is difficult to be in the state of discernment, especially in the family. And we lose track of the discernment and we speak something wrong, and later on we realize we should not have done it. So it is a journey of a life of a seeker. So we commit mistakes and gradually we reach to that state. There, everything becomes totally absorbed into the higher state of the consciousness. So it takes time. Beautifully said. That is all for today. We'll have another session of Viveka next in our next lesson. Thank you very much.
Thank you.